Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Phoenix Paranormal video. This week we have a very special episode for you guys. For those of you who missed the live stream, we had the absolute privilege of being interviewed by AmeNed Paranormal all the way from the United States. And Kim was kind enough to allow us to share this content with you guys. So drop down into the description below, go follow the link to their channel. They got some really great stuff on there. And if it's your first time on our channel, do consider subscribing for more South African Paranormal content. Leave us a comment and a like on this video. Thanks very much. Enjoy.
We just popped in.
Arnu. Okay, I'm Arnu. Hi, nice to meet everyone. This is new to me, so bear with me, guys. Bear with me.
It's okay. Trust me. I will hold your hand. Everything will go smoothly, and we're going to have a good time. So, Phoenix Paranormal has a total of 9 investigators. 9. That is a good-sized team right there. Okay, so we're gonna.
I think we had more at a stage. I think in total we were like 15 at a stage, but now we're back down to 9.
Wow. Jeez. Okay, wow. I'm speechless. I'm going to go easy with y'all, and each one of you can answer it because I've formed the questions where it's very easy for each one to answer. What got you all interested in the paranormal, and how long have you been investigating?
Okay, who's going to start?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Let me start. So, I've been interested since I was very, very small. I've been able to see apparitions since I was very small. So since then, I've been interested. I have not been an investigator for very long. I've only been part of this group for about 3 months. Arnold, Reinhard?
No, it's been longer now, huh? 7, 8 months.
I think a bit longer, actually.
7, 8 months. So yeah, that's where my interest when I was very small. Still up until today, I'll see movement, those kind of stuff. So yeah, that's me.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. So who's next?
Not always.
Trust me, I know.
Arnu, I think you go next.
Sometimes you do get it right. Sorry?
Who's okay, next? Yeah, sure. Been doing this now for... I'll go next. I'll get it out of the way. I've been doing it now for, I think, 7, 8 years. My interest in the paranormal also, I wouldn't say came from small age, but I experienced something when I was in high school. About, let's say, 15, 16 years of age, I experienced something I couldn't quite explain it. And I was looking for a crazy bunch of people to help me figure out what the hell I experienced. And then, yeah, I found the Phoenix family, and now we got 7 years going. It's crazy.
That's awesome. 7 years. That's a good run. So who wants to be next?
It is. We've experienced a lot. We've seen a lot.
Oh, I've done my research.
Okay, I think, Chantal?
Okay, I'm Chantal. Yeah, okay, I'm Chantal, and I started the same time as Arne, so it's also now about 7 years. And I've been having experience since being a child. So I was really fascinated with everything, and then I started joining the group as well.
Oh, nice. How about Stefan?
Hey, someone that pronounced the name correctly. Yeah, I was also quite small. I think I would say around 8 or 9 years old when I had my first experience. And yeah, from there on, I was always interested. Made a friend that was also interested. and we started doing things together. And with Phoenix Paranormal, I'm about 3 years now that I've been with them.
Nice.
Yeah, for me, you know what? I had some experiences through my life. I never paid it any never mind because I wasn't really tuned in, if that's the word I can use. And the fascination grew. I wanted to dig into I have a fascination for our history, our South African history. So it sort of just collided with the paranormal. And then I met these guys. I've been with the group for about 5 years now. And I met these guys, and I'm like, cool. You know, I was in the process of shooting a documentary about a haunted theater, and I met these guys, and I'm like, okay, cool. You know, let's go have adventures together.
Oh, that's awesome. That is really, y'all have got, from what I noticed, y'all are very close. I love y'all's humor and the banter, but you also take everything very seriously. And as I tell people in the paranormal world, you either have to laugh or you cry. And who wants to sit there and cry? So you have to laugh and have a good time. And that's what I really enjoy about watching and I've watched all your videos. So
cool. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you.
So the next question is, so out of all the places you guys investigated, which one was your favorite and why?
That's a difficult question, actually.
That's a very difficult question. Okay, I'll start. I'll get the ball rolling. I would say that the abandoned lunatic asylum is a very, very special venue. Not only for the fact that it's so haunted, but there is no chance that anyone will ever investigate that place again, or in the past.
wow.
There's just no way to get in there. There was no way. By some miracle, we had the opportunity to actually investigate probably what is the most haunted place in South Africa. I'll definitely I'll stake my reputation on it if I can. But I reckon that is probably the most haunted. The place is huge. I think that's the most haunted square mile.
That place is crazy.
It's and the main thing is we can't really tell people what the history is and stuff, because we often sign disclosures about places that we investigate, so we can't really divulge too much information. But just
right
after the videos launched, the kind of stories that people tell about the place is just, it keeps growing. It's amazing. For me,
yes.
that'll probably be the place. It's just historic. What we as a team accomplished to actually investigate that place is historic. It's awesome.
That's great. How about you, Henny?
Well, from my side, I must say, because I haven't been on a lot of investigations, I must say the old doctor's mansion, that was, I love that place. It's absolutely, that place was just phenomenal. The fact that that one door closed after we went in there and
awesome.
Never opened again. I still up until today don't know. I don't know if Charmaine has followed up, but I don't know if that door opened ever again. So yeah, I think that was the best place for me.
That's the door that locked, and nobody had a key to get in. There's no key. There's no way to get in, right?
No key.
Yeah, and apparently the owner, they got the door open again, but there was no key for a door. There was no.
I saw. Yeah, that's a good one. What about you guys, Chantal and Stefan?
Well, I would agree with Wynand on the psychiatric hospital, but I think for me, every investigation is a bit different. So I can't really say. Everything is yeah.
For me, I would say I agree with Wynand and Madeni, but I would say my personal favorite is the hospital that we investigated. The first one we physically joined, Dunkelhoek Hospital. It was a place where I usually went alone. It was one of the places where I started, where I had my first experiences, and the night that we spent there, the things that we got just confirmed so many things for me. And I would say that was my personal favorite, and I would always go back there if I ever get an option again.
And it's your turn, Arno.
Sure. Look, there's some places. For me, it's difficult just to pick a favorite. The abandoned lunatic hospital that Wynand mentioned. I think the big thing there is we covered only like a small amount of that entire location. And there's so much more stories happening there. It was one for the books. Then we had the Spring Cow investigation, which was also abandoned lunatic hospital place where we caught some awesome evidence and but I think the one place that always stayed in my heart was my first investigation ever, Melrose in Pretoria. I mean, the rich history of that place, the quality of the evidence where we got intelligent responses was phenomenal. I mean, that was my first experience, and that place will always stay it will stay in my heart forever.
That's awesome. Because it's what I like with you guys is the way you present your videos, because history and paranormal do go hand in hand. And I like how you give the history of the place that you're investigating, but you don't give too much away, just enough to keep us going. So I really enjoy your videos. Are done wonderfully.
Oh, awesome! Thank you.
So
that's the magic of Wynand. Wynand and Shemaine does that magic.
Yeah, but yes, yeah.
Beautiful.
Do it without the other guys. I mean, everybody, what everyone puts in, it's what goes into the videos. I think.
Now, out of all your investigations, which one frightened you the most?
I'll start because we talked about the other day about this actually on one of our vlogs. It was in Cullinan. We did the McCarty House investigation, and why it scared me wasn't because of any entity or anything like that. It was the first time that one of our investigators was so attacked and attached by for lack of a better term, a demonic entity that we actually pulled out of the location. And I've personally seen a couple of things that makes me go, yo, that's a bit scary, insane, and all of that. But that was the first time that I was ever scared, because one of our own was attacked to a degree where we had to get her out of there.
Wow.
Yes. Well, basically, that experience with Jonita at Cullinan was also, I think, my scariest investigation. Yeah. I'm the one that's Arne talking about.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. Yeah, that was quite a fright. Yeah.
I would imagine.
Okay.
Go ahead, Stefan.
Okay, it's my turn. I would say the doctor's house for me was the scariest, if you can say it like that. because that was like the first time I got scratched and actually something like physically touched me. To me, that was the scariest one. So that was the first time anything like that has happened to me before. So it was unexpected and gave me a little jump.
Yeah. And how about you, Henny?
Scariest. Yeah. I would also say the old doctors mentioned. Once again, that was me. I mean, like I say, I haven't been on a lot of investigations, but yeah, that's the one for me.
That's a good one. And last but not least, and I'm going to butcher your name. My husband, and y'all are going to laugh, and I don't care. I can handle it. I have been practicing your name over and over and over. Weinert. Did I say it right?
You know what? It's close enough. It's close enough.
It's close enough.
I promise I'll get better. I'll get better.
I lived in England for 2 years, and the things that I witnessed that was done with my name, I will never recover from that. So from there on in, everything or anything is fine. I would say, you know, I've got a similar experience. They're talking about the record in Cullinan where that happened, and I was a little bit still green as an investigator, and I sort of challenged the entity on my own. And yeah, like I told you guys this afternoon, it was like something climbing on top of me. I panicked a little bit. I have to say, I panicked. I did panic a little bit. So same
That's
location during the day.
Okay. So the next question. What equipments do you guys have, and which one is your favorite?
Yeah.
I think Arnu, you should answer this question. Eh?
Yeah, Arnu, that one's for you. Arnu's the one with the toys.
Why? See, I'm the IT guy, so Kim, they normally just throw me in the corner, and I just have to stay there and just make sure everything works. Look, I think I have to answer it in this way. Welcome to South Africa. We don't have access to thermal handheld cameras and all of that. Yes, you can buy it, but it's really expensive. So we use our wits and mobile devices. Yeah, we try to use what we have, and but I think personally for us the best piece of equipment was or is still our Connect that we use, our Connect 360, and then the thermal camera. I think that surprised me because we caught some amazing evidence with that. But yeah, coming back down to it, nothing works without video. So without video, we can't see anything. So that's probably our best tool. But if I have to, our thermal camera and the Connect is amazing pieces of equipment. If you can and you want to invest in something like that, it's absolutely worth MVP.
I have to agree with that. I am saving up to get one because I love the thermal camera. I mean, that is one. I mean, and I've seen y'all use it, and it's great.
Yeah, that hand, Arnu. The hand. Still don't understand what happened there.
Where I'm going to use a very popular Afrikaans saying now. That's where I had my gemoedsbekakking. We zoomed out. We were literally in there, and we pulled out, and you just saw this hand. I freaked out. I completely freaked out. But it was an awesome piece of evidence.
That was.
I also think the spirit box is also. Yeah, we've caught some cool stuff in the spirit box. It works sometimes.
Yes. I have to agree on that one. Except the spirits that are here in on the land that I'm on. They've never, we're talking about people that were around before radio. So they're, I don't say I'm psychic and I don't say any of these things. I'm just a sensitive person, and I pick up a wide range of things. And I tried to do the spirit box, and they were all like, what the hell is that? And what's the noise? And I could not get them to communicate on the spirit box at all. I mean, it was a total fail.
Yeah, it's very disruptive.
Have y'all tried the Estes method? Have you heard of that?
Yeah. Yeah, we did try it in earlier years, if I'm not mistaken, Arnie. We did have a team that investigated with us recently that used the method. So I think it was nice to see it again after so many years. Someone's still using it. It's interesting.
It is. I mean, again, I tried, and my poor husband, he's a skeptic. I mean, when I came into his life, his house was nice and quiet. He didn't believe in heaven and hell and spirits. The minute I moved in, he was like, I dragged him kicking and screaming into the paranormal world. So when I tried to do the Estes method, I didn't tell him, you have to take this seriously. And him and my son are just asking, they're talking to each other, and then my husband asked something in Dutch, and I had no idea. So I go back and I look, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot.
So, but when you guys investigate on that side, do you speak Dutch? Do they reply in Dutch?
No. Now in Holland, the interesting thing is people get a misconception, and they think, oh, if I go to Europe, whether it be Holland or Germany or wherever, they think they're going to get responses in English. And me being sensitive, I can hear them, I can see them, I can communicate if they're intelligent. Nobody spoke English to me. The residual energy was all in Dutch and German.
Makes sense.
So, but here, no. If you were maybe more up north when the Dutch had New York, more than likely I could get Dutch responses.
Interesting.
That's amazing, because we get the same thing. I mean, sometimes we got some EVPs or some responses where we would ask responses, or we were talking English or sometimes Afrikaans, Dutch, and then you get, I'm thinking back to Mara's house specifically, where we got this a Zulu-speaking individual from that period, where they actually just replied back in English. So I think that's one thing I would one day want to know. How the hell is that? Are they like a Star Trek universal communicator on that side, or how does it work? I have no idea. Maybe it's your intentions, but it's amazing sometimes the responses that we get. But then we got some responses in Afrikaans as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing I liked watching about you guys is, one, when y'all are speaking Afrikaans, you have put the subtitles there so people can keep following along, even though you may speak English and then have to maybe go and revert to Afrikaans to get a response. It's nice to have the subtitles there and for everybody to follow along.
Yeah.
No, definitely. We break Wynand sometimes with all the subtitles he has to edit in.
I've gotten used to it. No, it's like you say, when we started the YouTube channel, we put up our first video, and one of the comments were, we're English, we can't understand what you're saying. I'm like, you know. So that's literally just from somebody just giving us some advice. You know, put some subtitles so we can understand. So okay, cool, let's do that.
Yep.
But it helps you follow the story, I think, you know.
Yeah. I really loved that, because I've seen where you will ask in English and you won't get anything, and then you try Afrikaans and then you get a response. And so that's, you know, I find that so interesting, because it is, you know, I mean, it took forever for me to even try and understand Dutch. But having to go from Afrikaans to English, Afrikaans to, it blows my American mind. Sorry. And I lived in Holland for 4 years, and it still blows my mind.
We've got what? Vaina, help me here. I've got, I think, 11 or 12
11 languages
in South Africa. Yeah, so one day we'll get an investigator that can speak all languages, and then we're sorted.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because you can't help but feel that you might miss out on something if you don't know the history or the language, because you know it's the history is so intertwined with different cultures. That's kind of, you have to follow the timeline to know which language you need to try to. It's like fishing, I guess. You know.
Yes.
You got your English rod and your Afrikaans rod.
Yep. Okay, so the next one is, do you prefer going into a location with some history, or do you prefer to go blind?
Okay, I'll start here. Usually what I do is, while everybody's having their run through and everything, I prefer to sit outside. I like to go in blind. While all the other people know what's happening around me, I want to see what's there. I don't want to know what's there and focus on something that someone said and miss a lot of other things. That's me personally.
I think, you know, you just need a little bit of background on a place.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
History background.
Yeah, I don't want background. I want to see what's there. I want to find out what's there without anybody telling me what to look.
Okay.
Yeah. How about, hello, paranormal side.
Hi.
How about you, Arno?
So my connection broke there, so I didn't catch the last question.
Okay, it was, do you prefer to go into a location with some history, or do you prefer to go in blind?
Blind, definitely blind. Our standing methodology is to whoever organizes the investigation or whoever has the lead, they know what's going on, and the rest of the guys, most of them need to go in blind, because otherwise you're going to contaminate the evidence. Because if you know, for example, I'm looking for a little girl, then you're going out of your way to find a little girl. Whereas if you just, like the last investigation we did, the 28 days thing, a lot of the investigators didn't know about what was going on, and they even picked up, and it makes your claims that much more legit.
So Frank says, do you know the full history? Wouldn't you mind already to be making, if you know the full history, wouldn't your mind already be making up scenarios while investigating?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Sometimes the stories are wrong. You know, people, we do a lot of private investigations, and you should hear some of the stuff that they come up with. And I think we can separate the BS from the truth. I think we're experienced enough to go in there and not contaminate the evidence, as it were.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
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 The thing is, there's so many stories that happen. I mean, we're talking about especially, and I'm sure this happens everywhere, but I mean, we can now only, unfortunately, only now, maybe one day, but we can only speak in the sense of South African paranormal. But people will originally experience something, they'll tell that to someone else, and eventually the whole truth gets bubbled so much that you're sitting with like Wayne said as well, a half truth. So that's why we delve into the history so much. That's why we try to find out as much as possible about the property and the actual location before we try to just make up a story or try to put anything together.
Yeah, I think it comes from a different angle, from mostly from Charmaine and myself. You know, we need to scout out the history to sort of try and find a pattern or something that indicates that there's paranormal activity going on there. So you need to go fishing. I can't avoid it. I love to find out what the history is. But as you can see, there's a fine balance between the guys that don't want to know and the rest of us that do. And when we bring it all together in the video, it's sort of, you go, whoa, cool.
Right.
So yeah.
Let's see. Alpha Paranormal, he's in Germany, Pedro. It's like me when I investigate places to go to 70%. I don't know the history, go blind as well.
Yeah, I think I understand that as well, because you'll actually waste your own time just asking the same questions over and over, and if you don't know where to go with it, yeah, it's like chasing your own tail, I guess.
Yeah. I like how y'all do it, because like you said, you have some of your team go in blind. You do know, you have to know a little bit of the history, of course, but I like how you kind of withhold it from some of your team members, because you want to see if they can pick up, you know,
more confirmation, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, you can't go in totally blind. I mean, you also need to know what questions to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you physically. I mean, if you need to know. That's why I also like half going blind, half don't go in blind, because half knows exactly what's the story, other half doesn't. So you need to know what kind of questions to ask. You need to know with as well. Just my 2 cents. Sorry, guys.
No. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, because if you're going in a location that's going to have a child, that you have to totally change and speak to this child like it's, you know, not an adult but a child. Otherwise, what I find out with children is you kind of have to go at them at a different angle. And, you know, if you're talking to them like an adult, you've lost them. So
you're
now
not going to get a response at all.
Right. You got to soften your voice, and you got to make a connection, especially with children. You got to make a connection. And, you know, what I've told other paranormal investigators is ask them favorite, what their favorite color is, what their favorite toy is, their cartoon, and get them to, you know, kind of pull them in so they know it's safe. And so I agree. It's there's so many different things with the paranormal world that is crazy.
Yes.
And I don't even think we've scraped the surface.
No, I don't think anyone. Personally, I don't think there's absolutely anyone in this entire world that can tell you per book, you know what, this is A, B, and C of the paranormal. We just try our best and do what we deal with. I think one thing that you mentioned now with a kid as well, that's always difficult to tell is whether you're dealing with a true child spirit or whether you're dealing with something else or a demonic entity portraying as a child, because we had that before as well. We had a couple of cases, private cases specifically. Just note, we don't post private cases at all. We've got tons of them, and due to privacy and all of that, we don't tell people about it. But we had a lot of cases where there was a more, I don't want to classify it as demonic. I think people throw the word around too much, but more in the sense of a negative entity portraying them or himself as a child to get more favor or to come through innocent where they weren't innocent at all. So it's definitely what you're talking about, just talking to that child and seeing whether it acts like a child. That's very...
Yes. And I agree with you 100%. I find so many people are quick to go, it's a demon. Oh, dear Lord, have mercy. It is not a demon. I was like, the way I tell people is who you were in life is who you are in the afterlife. And if you are a nasty, mean, cruel person, that's what you're going to get in the paranormal world. And a lot of it is, and I'm 48 years old, and I've experienced things since I was 3. So,
wow.
You know, I've dealt with, and I call him my angry man, but, you know, he wasn't a demon. He was just a very nasty man that didn't want to fight a war.
Yeah. I'm dealing, for example, I need to share this with you guys. Maybe you guys can help me with this as well. Now, my youngest daughter, she's 4 years old. She does not have imaginary friends. She's never had imaginary friends. Today as well, she comes up to me. I'm sitting behind my desk working here, and she comes up around, and she doesn't talk to me or anything. And she just mumbles something to someone and shows, yeah, this is my papa. My daddy, this is my dad. Okay, let's go there. I freaked out. I'm like, what the hell? So now you have something like that. I mean, you're talking about since 3 years old, you experience things. I mean, it's so difficult. When do you know? Now I'm sitting here as a paranormal investigator. I'm going, oh crap, what the hell now? Instead of just
Spirit box, everything pull out. I knew now.
And there was, by the way, guys, there was 4 of them. Eventually, I asked her, "Whoa, lady, what's going on? Who are you talking to?" And she showed me, and she introduced me to 4 kids with 4 different names. And what's amazing was these names aren't names from school. There's no friends at school with those names. So where the hell did she come up with those names? Kim, give me direction. Help me with that one.
I can tell you, I was never sure about my son and whether he was going to have any abilities. So I was always very open with him. And living in Holland, he scared me as an infant because I've never dealt with anybody who had night terrors. And here he is, this little baby, stiff, eyes open, screaming bloody murder. Nothing I could do helped. My husband woke up, came in. He's like, what's going on? I was like, you got me. This is my first one. Nothing helped. And then all of a sudden, his eyes closed and he goes back to sleep like nothing happened. And he did it one more time. We were in Scotland, and our hotel room, the window was facing where they did public hangings. And he had a night terror. He was not far from being one. Same thing, eyes open, body rigid. And I was like, oh, dear Lord. Now, I've always been open with him and honest with him and tried to talk to him where he would understand things and I wouldn't scare the daylights out of him. When we moved to the U.S., the house we bought literally sits where the Civil War battle took place. Like a skirmish happened here, and then about 15, 20 minutes is the big battle. And I really had to work hard to protect the house. And you just have to be honest with them and open with them so that they know you're safe to communicate with. Because they don't understand either what they're seeing. You just don't freak out because we lost him.
Daddy duty.
Children is a.
He's got kids to look after, so I just bumped him off for a minute.
Okay, so he can still hear me. You just kind of have to be calm and relax and just be open with them and not make it scary for their world, because it's already scary enough. I mean, my parents locked their bedroom door because I kept coming into their bedroom, but I didn't know how to explain to them that I was hearing and seeing things in my bedroom. So when they locked their door, I literally took my pillow and blanket and slept at their door. Because they didn't understand why I was so scared. So we would do things, and people are going to think we're crazy. But our son would say, there's something in my room, or there's a witch, which the witch was just one of my spirit guides. And I was like, no, son, that's not a witch. But we would literally go in and act like we're beating up something. And I'm like, see, we beat them up. They're gone.
It works.
I mean,
it works.
It's silly, but you want to give them confidence that they're safe and that you'll protect them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I do the same thing.
Kids are a wonderful world.
And the thing is that they're so sensitive when they're so young. It's frightening sometimes. It's unnerving. You don't want to stop.
I've had so many people, right? I mean, I've had so many people go, "Oh, I wish I had your abilities." I said, no, because as a kid, it is scary as all get out. You don't understand. Typically, your parents don't understand, and you're just stuck. And then mine kind of faded off, and then right when I hit puberty in my teens, bam, it hit me again. And it has stayed with me. And then finally in my 20s, I was like, forget it. I got to figure this out. I know I'm not crazy. I can't crazy.
Yeah.
And so I just learned and figured out how to, deal with things. So my next question is going to be, have anyone on your team brought home an attachment, and how would you guys handle that situation?
Wynand?
Yeah, Wynand, please.
It happens. Mostly, I think it's just accumulated residue of places we investigate. If you're not careful, it starts taking hold into your life. But we do go through our little ritual to protect ourselves. We do our prayers, and we stick together as a team. I think that's been our strength, and that's what's kept us safe over the years. Is we stick together. Like we had a incident at that rec hall, and the thing is that the team pulled together and got her out, and she could recover from there. So we've always got each other's back, and obviously we do our protection.
That's good. So nobody's brought anything home with them.
I brought her home.
There's a difference. We can see her.
No, but we do need to be very careful. I think we all got families and children, so we need to be very, very careful. If we do sense that it is a darker force, like I don't want to throw around the word demonic, but okay, I'll also answer that as well. What protection we use. So what we do is we're all Christians, so we do a protection prayer before we go in, and obviously afterwards we'll do another prayer to cleanse ourselves of the attachments, and it works. It works.
That's good. I mean, because there's been like Joe from Entity 7 Paranormal. My last investigation, I brought home a heart attack. Poor Joe. I mean, bless his heart. He drove from one side of the country to the other, and bless. He literally had a heart attack, and he's sitting trying to get home from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Because that's actually happened to an investigator that we used to know. Well, the team knew him, investigating at Springkuil, and it was, if I've got the story right, unfortunately Anu's not on to confirm it, but he investigated with the team, and on that Monday he got a heart attack and he passed away, unfortunately. So that's a scary thought right after an investigation, so you got to be careful. Know what you're dealing with, I guess.
My husband's being naughty in the chat. Luckily, Joe, he's recovering. Thank goodness.
All the best, Joe.
And I want to welcome, yes, Healy just came in the chat. Hello, my lovely. And of course, Joe's come in. So the next question I have for you guys, have you ever been touched or scratched? And I have, what is going on with Yanni? I mean, that man is constantly being scratched. Every video I see, the poor guy is getting scratched.
Yeah.
They love it.
Those spirits love him.
I think it's, I interviewed Yanni a few weeks ago, and his take on it is just basically that they want to get his attention. He's all blasé about it. Mm-hmm. It's never happened to me. It's happened recently to Stefan, as he mentioned. It's not a nice experience, I think.
Yeah.
I would say it's not a nice experience. It's an interesting experience. It's really unexpected. It's, you're looking for something, and something actually physically coming up to you, scratching you. Is it a cry for help? Is it someone that wants to communicate specifically with you? It's scary in a sense, but also interesting in a way.
I've never been scratched. I've been touched twice. And I get very angry when I'm touched, because the way I look at it is I have my boundaries. They have their boundaries. I respect them. They need to respect me. So when I'm touched, the first time was my wrist. I got livid. The second one is I had what I call the angry man, because when we moved into our new house, this was before I met my husband, I walked into the room and this man was in my face, just raging. And he followed me to Holland. And I was sound asleep in bed. I had my foot kind of hanging out of the covers. And I felt somebody grab my ankle, and I knew immediately who it was. And I sat up in bed and I was cussing and screaming, "You don't ever touch me." And my husband was like, "I didn't touch you." I was like, "I'm not talking to you." And that was his first experience. He thought I was a crazy woman. He's like, oh, what did I get into? So never been scratched, but yeah, touched. That is a very strange feeling.
Hello, Sean.
I'm filling in for Arno. How are you? Teamwork.
Have you ever been touched or anything?
Once I was pinched, but sorry, my kid is still awake.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I've got one, and you can't control them.
Yeah, no, but other than that, no. I think only once I was pinched, and that was about it. Never ever scratched or pushed or anything. I try to remain strong mentally.
We have a little. When I talk about spirits, I call them visitors.
Yeah.
Especially around my child, because I don't want to traumatize him. And so we have this little visitor, and it was irritating me. It kept plucking my back of my shirt, or I'd feel a little tug of my hair, and I was like, do not touch me. And it would just keep doing it, and or I see a head pop by, and I'm thinking it's my son, and he's sound asleep in his bed, and that's happened many times.
Yeah.
It just actually happened the other day. He was in the living room. I was in my bedroom, and I see this head pop through the doorway, and I was like, "What do you want, kid? What do you want?" He's like, "What are you talking about, Mama? I've been in the living room the entire time." I was like, "Oh."
Oh man.
And then I make a deal with this little visitor. I was like, leave my dog alone. Right? I'm like, leave my dog alone. Leave my husband and child alone. Me and you can interact, but leave them alone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Set your boundaries.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. Frank says the button on my prosthetic leg got pushed. Does that count as being touched?
Absolutely.
Yes. Definitely. Definitely, Frank.
I love
In my book.
I love my Frank.
They are so awesome. It's so nice actually interacting with all of these people. I mean, because we only used to our South African gang, you know, so nice meeting you guys.
Yes, definitely. I knew everybody was going to absolutely enjoy you guys because, like I said, I love the sense of humor y'all have, the banter you have. You can tell you're very close knit. And I was like, they're going to love this. They're going to love it.
Oh, that's cool.
Like we normally say, we are humble goofballs.
Exactly. You either have to laugh or cry, and laughing is so much better than crying.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so, oh my goodness, this is going to be a doozy for me. Okay. At the location, y'all are gonna, I can't help it. I can get close.
Go for it.
Or I can never speak Dutch. My husband is from the Netherlands. I learned to understand it, but I could not speak it to save my soul. No. So at the oh my goodness, I'm just going to say the Pretoria CBD.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to try it. You guys mentioned that usually the newer team members are usually the ones that get affected first. But at this location, it was completely different, and the seasoned team members were the first to get affected.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old Godsoul. Is that the one you're
Yes.
referring to?
Yes.
Okay, so so in English it's just like a council hall. It was built in the early 1900s as Paul Kruger, who's probably people probably know who he is. He commissioned the place, and it was built there. I don't know. There's something dark there.
No, we're not sure how or why, but it's actually, this happened the second time round, and we, for the first time, invited a medium to go along with us, and she kept talking of a non-human entity. And what happened is, one of our seasoned investigators, Dave, we were walking in the hallway, and for no reason, he just stopped. He was paralyzed, and he's very, very strong. Mentally, everything, he's very strong. He just stopped, and at the same moment, I asked him what's going on, and I smelled like battery acid, like a very weird, stenchy smell. And he just kept staring, but he was literally paralyzed. He couldn't move. And the medium was standing there, and she knew what was going on. And I don't know what she did from her side, but he was then able to move again. And at the same time, our other group saw a mimic entity. It was actually mimicking one of the other investigators there. Mimicking him in the gallery. So, and if you saw this guy, it looked exactly like this one investigator, except he was a bit greyish pale, and his eyes were very dark. And when the other investigators who were there, when they looked up again, he vanished from the gallery. So, we're not sure what happened that night. But it was weird. It was weird the second time round.
Yeah. On your team ever had to leave a location because something affected them?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we did. Earlier we mentioned one of our investigators having been removed from a location.
Mm.
But you were there. You and Chantal were actually there. So this is a great opportunity to rehash that whole...
Yeah, so we were just basically under the basement of the stage, and we were asking a few questions, and the next moment someone whistled, and we had a huge fright because you're thinking you're alone there, so we were quite startled. And then just after that, she started laughing weird, but not like her laugh. What caught me afterwards is when I reviewed the EVP is you can hear she would laugh, but behind the laugh you would hear I don't know, a weird sound. And I don't know, it was
after reviewing it, it's like something prompted her to make that same noise. It goes like and then she goes in exactly the same tone of voice. So I don't know, something was definitely...
Yeah.
She was not herself.
No, she wasn't herself.
But that was the only time.
Yeah, we have investigated with other groups at Springkuil as well. At about 8 p.m. in the evening, they had to leave because they were too much affected by what was there. So, but yeah, that was the only location for us that we had to cut short.
My chat, I told you, Frank is
what
so naughty.
Frank,
goodness.
what are you up to, Frank? Be nice.
Oh, he's a handful. He's a sweet guy, but
where is he from?
Oh my goodness! Here in the U.S.
Oi, 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 Frank.
He's talking about his prosthetic leg, and he ordered one from Wish and walking in circles. And
is he taking that with him to the afterlife?
I don't know. Frank, are you going to take your prosthetic with you in your afterlife? That's a good one. Come on, Frankie.
Oh, Arp's
Okay.
back.
And Arno is back.
Ah, there you are.
We're
You're
multiplying.
muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Multiplying.
Ek het maar try vir jou instaan toe jy soos weg is.
Sorry, that was my fault.
You gotta unmute yourself. Maybe Ed can unmute
Arno
him.
is gemute.
I hate that mute. Don't worry about it.
Hi. Here we go. Now, Kim, that's what we talked about earlier. We know each other's families. We know each other's kids. So, yeah, this is normal for our vlogs as well.
Nice, Frank.
What does Frank say? I hope so.
Oh
Nothing like a hard what? Ghost butt kick.
Kick. Hard butt ghost kick. Oh, God. And then, of course, Generals, I think he should have a spirit box fitted to it so he can keep talking to everyone. Oh, my goodness. Okay, now,
Let's go.
I'm getting to my most favorite video y'all done. The Haunted Lunatic Asylum.
Is that your
Now,
favorite?
this place produced, it produced so much. I mean, you had EVPs, you had Knox, and the interesting thing is how y'all had split up into different teams, because as you said, the place is quite big. But I mean, y'all had the AEPs, the Knox, the bar door that closed. Is that?
Yeah.
That is the same location.
Yeah.
And it just closed on its own.
Yeah.
So, I know a lot happened. Would you guys mind sharing with us in more detail what didn't make the cut? Because I know so many people, you only got a certain amount of time you want, and sometimes you have to cut out some things that maybe not as, hardcore proof.
Yes. Okay, I'll tell something from behind the scenes. What that was really freaky. There was a lot going on that night, and as you say, it's such a huge location. And without divulging too much, parts of the Lunatic Asylum are still being used.
Oh.
So one of the freakiest things for me, and it's still stuck in my head, like we kept on walking past the hallways, going up and down, and down one of these hallways there were these 3 packs of sweets, and only specific sweets were taken out of the little packets. I think that was very mysterious, and we're thinking obviously people do have access to those abandoned parts, but the freaky thing for me is that this took place while we were there. It's like someone sneaking out and playing a little prank on us,
Right.
Yeah.
I think we still went past that part. It was like almost like if it was a bend in the hallway, a junction.
Yes,
and
right across from
we
the
went
church.
past that part, and there was there was nothing there. And we went into the one wing. Now there's only one entrance, one exit as well. And as we came past back, that's when Baynard saw. I think it was with your team, Baynard, where you saw the sweets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was when we got back, we were on our way back to meet up with the team again. And we got the sweets that were lying on the floor, and that's when we decided to sit down and just to have the little quiet time.
And that's when it gate closed.
Yes, that was the same time. So I have no idea what the sweets have to do with the gate, but yeah, it was at that time that we found the sweets, we sat down, took a moment, and we started seeing the movement down the hall of just something popping out behind the wall. And yeah, that's basically, we went back, checked what's happening there, and on our way back to watch a team, the gate just slammed closed behind us. So, yeah, that was the interesting part of the whole story.
Yeah, another interesting. Sorry, Stefan, about the sweets is like the sweets are treated as treasure. You know, it's very valuable in the asylum. So you know, it was very. It's actually obviously we couldn't put that in because you can't prove any of that. So
right.
But Arno went back on many occasions to help out with tours, and I'm sure he can tell you some interesting stories.
I think the biggest thing that we can't really justify on camera is our old arch nemesis, the shadow entities.
Yes.
The thing is, there's no power, there's no lights, there's nothing. So your camera and your flashlight is focused right here in front of you where you walk. And as you walk and you look up, there kept on being like these shadow entities, shadow people, like peeping around the corner, and numerous people saw that. But there's no way to give that as logical evidence. There's no way to prove something like that unless you caught it on camera. Now, I think one thing to note is this is, I think, in South Africa, the second longest hallway of a hospital. You can literally see the curve of the earth. That's how long this hallway is. So your camera can't go that far with your naked eye, where you can see those entities peek around the corner. Other than that, you keep on hearing whispers. As you walk and you stop, you hear people walking on behind you. But the thing that we normally try to do is we only give evidence if it's proper evidence, so we can back that evidence up. If it's not, if it sounds, bumps, noises, stuff like that, we don't put that in our videos anymore. But that's the stuff you don't experience. And I mean, we've been doing this long enough. I think the other guys would know as well, and other paranormal groups, I think, Kim, yourself as well. You get this feeling where you walk into a place, and by now, after doing this for so long, you know exactly this, and this is just a creep factor, or there's nothing really here. You walk in that place, and you just feel eyes on you. Just feel scared, if I can put it like that.
All I hear is this little whine.
Oh, that's Georgie. That's our little Dashu. Oh, it's like a squeaky toy.
Say hello for me, mensen. Say hello.
My husband, EVP. And it's right what he's talking about, the creepy. And then you hear this little...
Ja, nu komt Georgie, almost now.
I'm sorry.
Hello for die mensen.
No, because it's the same. Every time I would even like voice note Arnu, it's like he's the whole time. And I'm like, sorry, Arnu. It's flipping Georgie squeaking away.
Now he's all shy. He's got a lot to say, but now on camera.
Yep. That was hilarious. So let me see if my husband can upload some of your evidence you sent us. Honey. Hello.
Ed, where's my beer?
Come on. Here we go. So if you want, whoever wants to take it, what are we looking at?
Okay, I think that is the A clause EVP from Arnu.
That's it, yeah.
So Arnu, could you maybe...
Do you want to let it take first, and then I'll...
The significance of this EVP is not only in the clarity, but also in the audio band stability once the voice comes through.
Wow.
Okay, Kim, I'm going to jump in here and explain that. Now, this was in a part of the in the abandoned asylum, we had a couple of investigators, and we just split up a bit. Now, normally what we do is we've got eyes on everyone. So I've got a camera on them on the other guy, and so forth, just to cover all angles to see if someone talked or anything. Now, if I remember correctly, this was the wing where all the women stayed. But we found out later that it was a men's wing, mixed wing as well afterwards. So what was strange about that is that's Afrikaans for what are you doing here? What maak jy hier? And you can clearly hear the pronunciation of that word. It's an absolute class A EVP that we couldn't get before. It was no doubt. I mean, we were shocked. And I think one thing that when we put the videos together and we take the look at the evidence, we always judge ourselves harshly. We try to rip it apart and all that. And one thing we talked about as well is it to a degree sounds like my voice, but we have me on camera where I'm not saying anything. I mean, this was a recorder that was just stationary looking at other people, because in that door frame, the dark door frame, just beyond it, Charmaine and some of the other investigators were standing. So I was filming from a distance, trying to give them space so that they can just find out what they were doing. And meanwhile, someone asked me, "What are you doing here?"
That is awesome. I mean, how loud it was and how you could hear it.
Definitely, yeah. We never heard anything like that. We didn't hear anything on the spot. I mean, that was a pure EVP. We didn't hear it at all. Not a noise, not a peep.
That's
now, it comes back to what you talked about earlier as well. It's so difficult to determine what you put in video and what don't you, because there's all the video leading up to this. We can use that as evidence to try to prove to someone this is what happened, but you won't be able to convince everyone.
Right. Well, you're going to have your hardcore skeptics, but that right there was no noise contamination. There's nothing. So that was very interesting. Very. Let's see. Are you ready, my dear, to roll the next one?
Ek so bly is hier, Arno. Jy kan al hierdie evidence mooi vir ons.
We see you. Come on.
Sean can explain this.
I wasn't even there. Seriously, I wasn't even there with the session.
Chantal was.
So what we've got here, dudes and dudettes, is a...
You only showed up when female investigators were present.
Stop sharing.
What are you doing?
Chantal, give your opinion on this one. You were there.
No. I don't know what to say.
Okay. What happened there was we used the Connect footage. Now, this was Springtime Sanatorium, where we used... It's actually funny. I wish we had a behind the scenes back then, because I carried the laptop in one hand, the Connect in the other, and had this huge as backpack with a big UPS car, everything. But we caught, as the investigator was standing, it was, I think, Chantal and then Juanita Bola as well.
Yeah.
But they were standing there, and suddenly this super large entity,
Giant.
giant, started to in front of them and stand there, and we tried to debunk it. We broke the Connect's vision and reconnected it afterwards, and the entity just kept on coming back. And what's interesting is it only did it with the females. And
Arno, what exactly did he do?
It looks like he was masturbating. I'll be honest. It looks like he was masturbating. We
that
found
people
out
is
afterwards.
A-class evidence of a wanker. But you know what's even more Sorry, I'm just going to say it. I'm normally the honest one.
That's the best.
What was even more profound
If
about
you're
that
wondering if they
is
do
like,
it in the afterlife.
hey?
You know what?
If you're wondering if they're doing it in the afterlife, hey?
Maar I was psycho, hoor.
When
I
we
was
looked at this,
psycho.
no one said anything when we looked at the clip originally. It was only after a couple of us looked at it and we all at the same time. That guy's masturbating. He's literally
But Arno, please tell them, like, when you saw it, you actually said, cease, like, basically, shame on you.
Yeah,
and we actually caught an EVP of a man saying, sorry. Like, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was a weird one. And that entity, what we did was to try and replicate that is some of the men stood there as well. Same spot, same location, and nothing happened. As soon as the woman stood there, then the entity came back. So, pun intended. So whether that was the case or not, but I mean, if I'm not sure if you guys want to replay the clip, but, or put it up on the link afterwards, but you can see his hand. I mean, if you look at the skeleton form, you can see his hand going. So I can't think of anything else. And what we found out
But he's like
afterwards as
tall.
well
He's
is
like
that in the asylum,
over there.
yeah, he's giant.
Yeah.
My mom actually worked in the. This is not the same place where we bought this evidence, but she worked at the same abandoned asylum as an occupational therapist, and she said the patients did a lot, where they would literally just stand there naked, they would rip off their clothes, and they would start pleasuring themselves. That's why they were in there in the first place.
Wow. Okay.
So it just
resonates
gives
with it.
more accuracy to its own.
Yeah.
You've got Anne Marie this as well. That's the first. And Frank says, gotta release some ectoplasm. Oh my God. I told you. I love Frank. He what?
Everybody has to have one.
Everybody has to have a Frank. I'm normally the Frank.
Want clear skin?
What? What did he say?
He says, want clear skin. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's.
But it would be great if the people can give their own opinion. Go watch it again and just because I mean, like I said, maybe it's just us that's not lucky in the head, but that's like I said, a couple of us watched this, and because when I thought at first, I'm like, no, man, no. And I called someone else. I'm like. And eventually they saw the same thing, and we all just said, "He's doing it. He's literally doing it."
But you know, one thing is, you know, it's a very profound clip in the way that we can actually tell that he's left-handed. There's no other ghost that you can tell that.
Actually, I'm going to interview another team, and they have a very similar thing, except it was you can see a very big figure on the SLS, and one of the team members was reaching, and she's sitting here at the crotch level.
Wow.
Fondling. And it was standing there. It wouldn't move. I was like, oh. So I
we need to see that.
I need to see that. I need to see that as well.
So it even
When I
continues. Your
interviewed
frustration
them-
continues in the afterlife. Yeah.
Obviously.
That's one question answered.
Right? You
We are
got
getting
it,
somewhere in the paranormal
in your
field.
country.
Yeah.
There you go.
We're able to establish that men will be men in the afterlife.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so are we ready for the next clip?
Foreign footage is quite a mystery, as it only was discovered after watching endless hours of recordings. It shows possible manifestation at the end of the horror. No one was present at the time, and everyone was incredible when this was taken. There all seems to be a light in the room, leaving us with a greater sense of the unknown.
That was
That was a while ago.
That's awesome.
The old jail in Heidelberg.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Okay. That was that's awesome. I mean, you can clearly
it's a difficult
see it.
piece. Yeah, it's a very difficult piece because it speaks for itself. There's no need to wonder about the clip, no need to listen carefully or watch closely. It's there. And we watched, like we mentioned on the video clip, we watched that video over and over and over again, trying to debunk it from all other ends. But at the end of the day, we just said, you know what, let's just put it out there and get people's opinion, because that's the holy grail of paranormal investigations. I mean, getting an entity on camera, that's what we do, what we do. And I don't know.
It speaks for itself. I mean, because you can clearly see it forming. I mean,
and again, there was the angle of the camera. We put it there specifically. I'm sure everyone else does it as well. But when we place our cameras, we try to minimize the risk of people entering the frame. So we would put it in a single entrance or exit, and that was the only. There's no other way. There was a way. Apologies. There was a way to get past it, but it's a locked door that was locked entirely. And there was no other way to get in or out. And we watched it. We could see earlier on and later on some investigators going in to investigate the area, but in that time frame, we didn't see or experience anything.
that was just awesome. Awesome. Is there another one, my dear?
Yeah, this is actually the door that Arnus is referring to.
While recording static footage of this entrance hallway, CCTV cameras caught the exact moment where the locked front door of the jail was open. Look closely and you can see what seems to be a light fly across the door as soon as it happens. The local CCTV cameras also confirmed that no one was outside of the jail during this recording.
That's a heavy door.
It's a heavy door.
Wow.
It's a heavy ass door.
It's a typical jail door for everyone that's done a jail investigation before. I mean, you can't open that door even with one hand. If you push with two hands, it's a solid steel door. It barely. We actually have photos that we never posted where you can see the scratch marks in the floor.
Yeah, so
if you wanna, because
like
of
you open it like that.
It's stuck, so you have to get it piece by piece. So for the one, that door was locked, by the way. For that thing just to fly open, and I remember specifically Chantal. She was there, and I think Chantal, if I remember correctly, you couldn't believe what you saw on the CCTV. You were just like, no, someone has to be there. we were busy investigating in another part of the jail while this happened.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely phenomenal. And I'm not sure if the timing was perfect or not, but there was like I think we sometimes think it's an orb or a bug or whatever. You can see this light anomaly, whether it's a bug or whatever, it just flies by, and as it comes through, it's much larger and brighter than the other dust particles, and as it comes by the door, it just flies open.
It just opens.
That one was unbelievable.
And I'll admit, I mean, I really looked at that, and I'm looking and looking like, okay, because I try and have a little skepticism, and I was like, okay, let's look and see. No fishing line, no magic string, whatever they want to call it. I didn't see it, and I slowed it down, and then it's crazy.
From a physics point of view, it just doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
The momentum is just...
maybe we should post... we should maybe post... Apologies, Feyenoord. We should maybe post the photos of the scratch marks on that door as well.
Yeah, it's actually on video, I think. Where we try to open it, with the follow-up investigation.
Yeah.
You literally had to...
Because like Frank just says, you would need a chain to open that heavy door.
Yeah, it takes a lot of...
No fishing line is going to open it.
Yeah.
Because that's the first that people are going to think, because you do have those people that are going to try and nitpick and really try and debunk it. And I mean, I didn't see anything. I mean, and look, what can you say? I mean, that is really cool to catch.
I think if you put it in perspective, the moment that you actually physically touch the door, you know that clip does not make sense. Just the sheer weight, and it's a museum now. It's a community entertainment venues and stuff like that. So that front door is locked. They never open that door. You drive in at the back and you come in at the back. It does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's light as a feather in that clip.
And they've got CCTV as well, which we checked.
Yes. So yeah, it's interesting.
And my husband says, we can make you famous. Chat, and we will show you chat on our screen.
Yeah. On that door. Oh, sorry. Yeah, on that door, it can only be unlocked from the inside. And once the door is closed, it can't be opened again without the key. It's like automatically the door locks automatically when you close.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's the one thing that I remember when we were there. So you have to physically unlock it from the inside to open the door.
Yes.
Wow.
And there's nobody there that's unlocking the door to get it open.
That's crazy. I mean, mind-blowing. I want to welcome Full Dark Paranormal Explorers, a great paranormal team. Great.
What's up, guys?
I would. I mean, show me it.
It is the eye.
The interesting thing and I guess, I mean, I've watched y'all's vlogs, and so a lot of people may not understand it. So explain South Africa and their view on paranormal so that people will understand.
We're all Afrikaans, so we're from we're from the Dutch descendants, Dutch and French descendants back in the 1600s. So basically, it's a very taboo subject at this point. We do have a large following of people who enjoy it, and but the venues are very skeptical of letting us in. I think that's the biggest roadblock for us at this point, because they don't want to get a bad reputation saying that the place is haunted, which we think is.
Will have a little bit more open view to the paranormal. I mean, there's so many venues, and I mean, they charge an outrageous amount, some of these venues, and there it's a much different view, and I find that very interesting. But
I don't know.
Like France is very similar.
Really?
The one thing that I learned is in France, you won't find hardly anybody that will open up their castles or manors or wherever that may have a haunting. The French look at it as, yes, we know there's paranormal, there's spirits, but we respect them and leave them alone. I mean,
that's part of, look, because we've got so many cultures and everything in South Africa, that some of the cultures believe that as well. They know they exist, they know that they don't touch it, they leave it alone. They're very I'm struggling to find the word, but very scared of it, if I can put it like that. Whereas like Wynand mentioned as well, I mean, I think, I'm not sure why, but in general, the whole English community as well in South Africa is much more open to it, where the all Afrikaans Christian denomination in South Africa is very old. Like, you don't talk about it. I mean, they will never mention a spirit. I mean, please, guys, don't kill me here, but if you talk about the paranormal, if you talk about ghosts in South African Christian, like in here, or Reformed churches and all of that, you were shunned. You are literally shunned. You were, I mean, we in our blog, like you mentioned one time, I actually said you would be hit by the Bible. I mean, I think if my mom could right now, she would smack me with the Bible. Whereas at the same time, they would talk about these things happening to them as well. As soon as people start talking about it, and as soon as you just open that door a little bit, normally with a couple of brandies or whatever, then they start opening up, then they tell their experiences and everything. But in general, people are in South Africa are much, I think they don't want to talk about it, but it's opening it up. I think we've seen a big transformation in the last couple of years in South Africa, and it's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I just want to touched on a very interesting point. Is some of the native cultures are very respectful, and they still believe in like the forefathers and stuff like that. You know, they still engage in those kind of ritualistic religions. And people need to remember we live in Africa. We're in the southern point of Africa, and it's ancient ground. It's very hard to explain to someone, because this is a continent with the richest animal diversity, and there's something special about this continent in that way, that it's very, very, very old. And I think they're still connected to those kinds of the old ways of doing things. It comes through the lineage. So it might be why.
And that's a good question, Anne-Marie. What's the one place you would love to investigate? And she said anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. Wow.
The haunted forest I think it's in Japan.
Yeah.
I would
the suicide forest.
Yeah.
The suicide forest.
Yes.
I would give up on Herbert Ghosts to go there to that place.
Yeah.
I would seriously love going there.
There's a team, or actually, he's not a team. He's a one-man show, and he has gone to the suicide forest couple times, maybe a little more, and it is the absolute creepiest forest. But he goes there knowing there's a possibility he's going to walk across somebody who has, committed suicide. And, he tries, when he's there, he tries very hard to keep people, he tries to give encouragement to people that are wanting to go in and everything. And what's interesting, like Pedro Alpha Paranormal, here in America, I live in the South, and we call it the Bible Belt. And here we like to talk about ghost stories, but if you experience something, oh, no.
That is exactly how it is here as well. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Bible Belt.
They love it. They absolutely, yep. They love telling the ghost stories. I mean, I even remember my father, because we're not far from this huge Appalachian Mountain. So it runs from here in my state in the South and goes all the way up. I mean, all the way up, this huge mountain chain. And as a child, my dad would read me these stories from old mountain folks that told ghost stories.
Wow.
But you don't admit that something's happened to you. No.
Yeah. So it's not just us.
No.
Yes.
No.
I really want to hear everyone's responses on the location. Where would you investigate in the world?
Henny?
I would like. Huh?
I would love the Winchester House. Yes, I would love going there.
Winchester House. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
How about Chantal and Stefan?
Anywhere in Scotland.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
one. Oh.
That's difficult. I would say my grandmother's house, to be honest.
So why don't we arrange something? Jeez, now you're coming out of here all of a sudden, my grandma's house.
Now you're coming out.
Thanks for the heads up, Stefan.
Right. He's been holding back.
Unfortunately, the house was sold. So, yeah, after it's sold, or while it was being sold, my mother actually made a joke to put up a sign in front of the house to say "not wanted," so that someone might buy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the story is that there is someone there, and we suspect that it's my grandfather that's there. So yeah, that's why I think that's where I would really love to go.
Yeah.
How about you?
No idea. It's a thrill a minute to investigate in South Africa because you've got such a huge danger factor. So from all rounds, it's just like adrenaline, So I don't think any other place can top that fear factor anywhere else in the world because it's physical violence. It is dangerous in South Africa, and the places we have is mostly haunted.
I'd go for the Cape Castle though. I think that I'd go for the Cape Castle because that was in my head it was the only stronghold between people living in Southern Africa and the rest in the wilderness and the terrible things that took place there. Yeah. That place is
I think in general the question is very difficult because there's so many places out there. I mean, we hear about all these stories and locations, and it's difficult to choose one place where you want to go. It's so good. In every country, there's a place where I would love to go, but it's
just to narrow it down.
There's
to one,
so
it's
many.
difficult.
There's so many.
Very difficult.
There's so many.
I think I'd like to wander into Swaziland as well. They've got some really incredible lore. I'll go into those forests.
Oh, wow. Let's see, Anne-Marie wants to know where I want to go. And the one place I want to go, and I have such a pull to it, is the Conjuring House.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would love to go to the Conjuring House. And it even intrigues me more because Full Dark Paranormal went to the Conjuring House.
Wow.
And got a completely different experience. And I interviewed them. They were my last interview. And Ryan said, and I've been following them for quite some time now, and I've never seen them get spooked or frightened. But he said that when he went into the Conjuring House, he says, I kind of let my armor down because I wanted to experience it all. And he said he experienced a very tall, dark, very frightening looking entity. It wasn't human, and he knew that if he stayed, that they were going to get hurt. And she's right there in the comments. They're working on editing the footage as we speak, and I cannot wait to see it because that house has seen so much. I mean, it was built before the Revolutionary War. Yeah. They had Indians to deal with, then the Revolutionary War. And I mean, there's just so much at that house. And I have followed the history on it. And the family that lived there for 12 years, the Prawns, and their experiences. And it's just mind-blowing, and I don't know why I have a pull to it, but that's my main thing. I mean,
it's so strange. You're even talking about their experience, Full Dark Paranormal. I just get this, as you're talking about it, this feeling, this creeping behind my back. It's this weird, It just sounds She just said, Amy says, some fast-moving shadow that blocked a doorway, basically. She didn't see it, but her husband, Ryan, saw it, and it frightened him. He literally was like, I'm out of here, scared the owners to death because they were like, what, are you okay? What, He's like, no, I'm done. So did they leave right after that?
Mm-hmm. He said because even in the parking lot, he still felt it. And he knew that if they stayed, something would have happened to him. And for him to experience that.
It's hectic.
I mean, yeah.
Wow, what an experience, Lord. Yeah.
So that's just the history on it. And just the activity. I mean,
everything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. Yeah, she said the house felt a bit strange, and it's dark during the day, even with the windows, because the windows are so small.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the interesting thing is, one of the daughters because keep in mind, this house from 1730, it was being built. So it was built kind of sections at a time. And, you know, the windows are very small. And even upstairs, the windows, they made it purposely small so that they can defend the house.
Yeah.
And yeah. And it's just, it's crazy.
Wow.
Creepy.
Let's see. Pedro says, do you do blind spirit box sessions in your investigation? That's probably the Estes method.
Yes. Yeah, we chatted about that. We did. We did a reference to one of our friend groups.
Friend groups.
They recently did one in the Randfontein investigation. So yeah, you know, we don't personally use it that much. We just go straight up with the spirit box. Because look, the locations we investigate are very new. There's never been any investigators. So sometimes when you walk into locations like that, the energy's like it's on, you know. So it just comes through. Yeah, so I don't think we've used it recently.
No.
Let's get to the next question. So you guys did a private investigation, and y'all have said that you typically don't share when y'all do private investigations, but this one you did. It's the Yost family farm.
Yeah.
Yes.
28 days.
That one I really enjoyed as well. I mean, because you've got some good EVPs in there as well. Your equipment was acting up in a certain doorway. And then you found out there was a blood curse put on the family, correct? Is that right? There was a blood curse?
Yeah.
And so you decided to share it. So it's, you know, it's easy to watch, but it's interesting to hear what experiences, what did you, you know, was there a certain feeling to it? Just your experience, because I mean, I know you weren't able to investigate very long, because I was like, oh, please go back, please. That was a very interesting.
No, we're definitely going back.
Definitely.
What made you decide to share this?
It was such an interesting story, and how everything turned up. We asked. Look, I think what we try to do is, with all private investigations, we ask the people before the time, listen, would you mind us sharing this online? And if they say, you know what, that's fine with them, then we do. And this Franz Jooste, he didn't mind us sharing this online, and it was, I don't have words for it. I've never experienced something like this. We're saying it's a blood curse, but it's the first time in my entire paranormal career, if I can put it like that I've encountered something like this, where absolutely everything happened on the 28th. I mean, what we told the public and what we told everyone, and versus what this guy actually has. He's got so many entries on the 28th where everything to their family would happen on the 28th. It's ridiculous how much. I mean, we didn't even talk about a quarter of everything that happened. And this is only up to the point where he actually realized, but listen, something's going on the 28th. But it was absolutely phenomenal. We're definitely going back there. There's another property on the bigger property that we're going to investigate. But it was phenomenal.
That was That was awesome. General wants to know, what do you guys think about the stone tape theory?
Who wants to take this one?
I've never heard about the stone tape theory.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a simple example. Has anyone ever been in their house or in the kitchen area and you hear the kettle? You know when you put the kettle to boil, you just hear that click. You just hear it randomly bounce around in your kitchen. I think that's basically what it is. The environment absorbs that energy and it loosens it in a certain time when the temperature is at a certain that's basically what I think about it. I think it's very hard to record it. I think it's kind of hard to record that kind of residual
isn't
energy.
It like certain conditions?
Hey?
Isn't it like certain conditions that will?
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. You're looking for the right conditions for that thing to replay.
I mean, it's essentially a residual haunting where I think we've caught we've caught a couple of things like that before as well, but nothing to the degree where we could replicate the conditions. I mean, some of the locations we went. We went a couple of times to the same location and trying to replicate some of the evidence, but we could never really try and replicate everything. But if we take on what the client tells us, then normally it's the same repetitive thing, and a lot of people experience it.
Unfortunately, that's one of the things. I don't know why, but for me, it's easy for me to. I've picked up several residual energies, and it's just like a loop. It just plays over and over and over again, and I think it's always something that's very traumatic that I think that creates that loop. I mean, I experienced one when I was 16. Then when I moved to Holland, I didn't know the language. I had no idea what happened to Rotterdam. It was bombed 3 times. And then, you had the Dutch resistance that was in there. And you had, the Germans. And I think that was the one thing that really jarred my husband, because we were just walking so I could know the city and know where I'm going and how to get around. And we did evening walks, and we're walking, and all of a sudden I stop, and he's like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Wait, there's Germans, and they're pulling people out of their home off the street. There were women, children, the elderly, and they had them all lined up on this corner." And I was like, "Oh my God, they're shooting these people. They're shooting them." And it was awful, because when I'm witnessing this, I can see it, I hear it, I could smell the gunpowder, and I was like, "What in the world?" And my husband was like, "Oh my God, okay, crazy woman." But when we went home, he ended up finding out what it was the Germans were trying to pull the Dutch resistance out. And they figured if they pulled these innocent people out and threatened to kill them, that the Dutch resistance would come out and fight. And he didn't even know. I mean, he grew up in the city. There's a plaque on the other side of the wall talking about what happened. And he's like, "How did you know this?" I can't explain it to you. It just happens.
Wow.
It's
sure. I've never experienced something like that.
I think it's the energy, the traumatic, horrific thing, and it just kind of soaks into the soil, the stone, the wood. It's just, and it just permeates there. I mean,
yeah.
But hard to catch, very hard to catch.
Yes.
You need to spend a lot of time in one location to pick up the patterns.
I mean, it was several things in Rotterdam that I picked up on, several things. I think the last thing my husband was more shocked about was we were walking in the big park, and I said, I can hear children crying, and he's like, what? And I was like, I hear children crying. They're crying. I said, there's such heavy sadness and fear. And I said, nobody died. Yeah. I said, nobody died. These were at one time people. And so a customer of his was a historian. And he says, what went on during the war in that big park? And he goes, when the air raid sirens went off, the parents would send their kids to this park because nothing was being bombed in this area. And so my husband came home and he goes, you won't believe it. He goes, you were right. And I was like, I mean, but I don't think even if I had a camera, I don't think it would pick it up.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I mean,
no.
That's I think a hard thing. I think it's something you have to actually experience. Like General says, he says, I experienced a similar thing. The city I lived in was heavily bombed in the Blitz of World War II.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean,
and that's history going way more back than we've experienced as well. I think that's why I would love to go to all these places as well, because the history is much more richer and goes much further back than the only thing that we experience this side. It's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, because I mean, even researching you guys, I mean, I was asking my husband, I was like, the Boers War, I was like, what's the deal with that? I mean, he even put a documentary on so I could watch it, so I could understand where you guys were coming from. Because I was so intrigued by it. I was like, I mean, like I said, history and paranormal go hand in hand. And I mean, I was like, okay, I got to figure out what is this they keep talking about that, you know, it's because he was getting frustrated. He's like, there's a documentary. I was like, there is? He's like, yes. Sorry. I told you, I dig deep.
Ew. Well done.
Wow. Well, it's interesting.
Because I remember. Well, like when I watched the video with the jail and the connection it had to the war, I was like, okay, I got to know more. I got to understand this and get it. And I don't think you have to understand the history to get what's going on. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating, and guys, I apologize. You guys I'm going to say one more thing. I promise. Then, unfortunately, I have to run. My kids aren't settling down. What's fascinating, what you say about that, is that with our first investigation that we did as Phoenix Paranormal was Melrose House, and inside Melrose House, the connection Melrose House had to the Boer War and ending the war. You go all the way to the old Raadsaal where we investigated, and all of these places has a link to each other, and everything ties up to the Boer War, which is absolutely fascinating. But Kim, I have to say thank you very much, and I truly apologize. Daddy.
No.
And they're not going to settle down.
Family comes first.
Thank you for everyone that commented and all of that, and followed our page and all of that. I truly appreciate all of that.
Well, you've got a bunch of subs. Guys, mean, they're loving you. So thank you.
But we must do this again.
Definitely.
Okay. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers,
so as I said, every culture is different. And the thing I find interesting and what I kind of pick up is in South Africa, the paranormal feels so different to me.
Yeah.
The interactions that you get, and it's just so. I guess maybe because of all the different cultures, it feels different. I mean, with me living in Europe and then here, South Africa, the paranormal is just so different.
It is
It
different.
seems a little bit more raw.
It is raw because we would go in believing it's a ghost or what have you. But then you get your different cultures, and they would believe, for instance, in water spirits. And they would actually sacrifice people to these water spirits, and they would do rituals because it empowers them, it gives them health and wealth and power and what have you. So it's got so many different sections, and we are actually going in on one side of it. We've actually at the Moors Castle, that's one of the locations where that side of the paranormal and our normal ghost side, I think, collided, and you come across it. And
that was one of my
totally
questions.
Different. It's totally different. You actually can't compare the South African paranormal to like the US or the Europe or anything.
I think it's very fresh as well. We're still just scratching the
we're
surface
scratching
of what's going
on here.
Yeah, because that was one of my questions was the castle that y'all went to and what you found on the land. Would you like to tell everybody about?
I think in like the US it's haunted because Native American burial ground, whereas with us it's not burial ground but it's ritualistic. And at the same time, in South Africa, the moment you've got a abandoned building, it is used for occult activities. So they often summon stuff. Yeah, but it's very different actually this side.
Yeah, no, it definitely. I think it's mining towns and land that was occupied by native tribes, and there were so many tribes, and the thing about these tribes is dominance over the other's land meant you annihilated them. You completely, from the youngest child to the oldest man, you completely killed everyone. So there's a lot of that as well, and mining towns. I mean,
we've got a lot of blood soaked into the earth in South Africa.
There's a lot of blood spilled.
Yes. Yeah, because I mean, I've been working on my remote viewing because as my child's gotten older, it's gotten a little bit easier and I can open up more. And I try to do a lot of remote viewing. I'm working on it, but I can pick up vibes, and the vibes in South Africa and the paranormal is just so. It's the only way I can say is raw. I mean, it's raw and it's brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, because you had to be hard. I mean,
we still have to be hard. Put it that way.
Yes.
But I think raw in the sense that it is uncharted territory, because ghost stories, around the campfire, but other than that, taboo, like we spoke about. Ghost hunting, big no. I mean, you get hit with the Bible everywhere. So but like we said, a lot of bloodshed in this history in South Africa. So I think most of it, if you could resonate it to something, would be like a civil war, and I don't know. It's a lot of layers.
There's so much minerals here as well. So there is literally mining towns are scattered all over the place. Diamonds, gold, platinum, coal. It's just everywhere, and ghost towns, abandoned towns that still mine. They still actually mine, and it just resonates through the whole country, I think. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. There's this. Just like ancient things as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because
yeah,
it's interesting because like you guys, the old, what is it, mining hospital, the video, and y'all were talking about how dangerous it is to go there.
Yeah. So sorry.
Go ahead.
The reason why it's so dangerous is what we've got here in South Africa is they call them the Zamas. Okay, so it is literally this gang war, like of illegal mining. So there are so many horror stories of people dying in the mines with explosions and what have you, but also they would just, if these gangs arrived, they would literally just shoot you right there. And I mean, even this one place that we investigated, it was 4:30 in the morning, and it was this cold front sweeping through. As we were leaving, we could just hear them coming by, walking past the hotel, and as they were walking past, they were like chanting, because remember, they're chanting because they believe in the ancestors. They need the power to give them to, do all of these things. So it's very crazy, but yeah, that is basically what's going on at the abandoned mining hospital, is the Zamas. Plus, there's loads of ritualistic stuff that took place there, signs that we could see there. The security locked themselves inside an office at night on the 3rd floor. It physically also lots of medical waste that you have to walk through, ankle deep water, needles all around. So yeah, fun and games. And it's actually Stefan who contacted us. He was like, I don't even know who he was, and he's like, dude, come and investigate this place. And because he caught an EVP outside of there, like, I don't know, it sounded like a growl or something. And then after that we actually invited him to join us. So yeah. Well, that was my mouthful.
To me, it's very interesting because it's like you've got the paranormal side, and then you have another culture who it's a totally different aspect. I mean, they believe in totally different, kind of like our Native Americans, because we've got elementals, which would probably be in the same thing, where Indians place a curse. Yeah. And I've encountered one elemental, and I was like, nope, don't want that. I don't deal with. I don't like it because there's no controlling them. There's no reasoning with them.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very powerful.
Yes. Now, and it's a totally different vibration.
In the South African side, they don't do the curse thing. They do the witchcraft thing. So they would actually like conjure up what they would call the tokoloshi. That is like a subhuman thing this size, and it actually haunts you, and it causes havoc in your lives and what. But that's more in the other culture. But they're more on the witchcraft side. But what makes South African investigation so difficult is that if we see a haunted place, we can't just go there, even if you have got permission, because it's so physically dangerous, like our CBDs and all that. It is extremely dangerous. They would literally kill you for 10 rand, which is like,
it's occupied by vagrants. There's homeless people,
but it's not your average. I mean, we've got some of the most dangerous cities in the world, and we want to go and investigate there. It's not easy.
It's like you're dealing with the paranormal. You're dealing with beings and entities or whatever you want to call them from another culture. And then you're having to deal with the living. The living is more dangerous. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I find the living more scarier than the paranormal.
Yeah.
The paranormal, you know.
Yeah.
Because the living can make you part of the paranormal.
There you go. And I mean, you know, I mean, it's just the history and the brutality and how it's still going on.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, yeah, we have cities that are, I mean, people are killing each other, like you said, for nothing. But it can't compare. I think it's just the brutality. It's a different mindset.
It's Africa.
Yeah.
Right.
Not for the faint
Right. No.
For faint-hearted.
Like, because like it's interesting here, because like you know, I'm trying to do a story on my two-time great-grandfather. He fought in the Civil War, and he was later murdered. So it's a big whole rabbit loop. But then I found it's either my 4 or 5-time great-grandfather. I found his grave, and he fought in the Revolutionary War, came home, and then they sent him down to the southern part of our state to fight the Creek Indian War. You keep an open mind to a certain extent. You don't go overboard. But when I watched you guys and really dug in, I was like, I've got to interview these guys. And more people have got to know about y'all and watch you and support you, because your evidence is incredible. I mean,
well, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. It's why we do it, we just, I think we all share a very deep passion for what we do, and we just like to show everybody what we find, the crazy stuff we get up to, and the crazy places we find to investigate. I think that's the most exciting thing for us. We come up with some really good ones.
I mean, really, there's not that many paranormal teams in South Africa, is there?
There's a few. I think that we as mentioned before, there's a lot of challenges being a paranormal investigator. First of all, nobody's going to pay you to do this because everything comes out of your pocket. And the second thing is, it's so hard for especially newer teams to get started because they can't find places to investigate, which makes it, it's very discouraging. We've built our reputation and our network with a lot of effort over time, and we've still managed to squeeze in investigations, significant investigations, into our yearly schedule, and it's very hard. You'll contact, let's say, 15 places, and they all say no, and then randomly somebody contacts you on Facebook and say, "Listen, I've got a interesting case. Will you guys take a look?" And through that we pick up leads, but it's been a hard grind, and it's very discouraging. That's why we try to reel in some smaller teams to come and join us, just to get some experience, just expand the field. We need more.
Yeah, because I started following the one team that y'all worked with. It was the two guys. Down. Yes, I just started, but I was so entrenched in researching you guys that I haven't really dug into them yet. But I was like, people have got to know about you guys. I was like, I've got to do this, because the evidence is wonderful, and it's not over the top, and it feels honest and true.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm really glad that it comes through in our work. We always try to add a little sincerity with it, and obviously our biggest critics, we do discard a lot of if, buts, and maybes. So the things that you see, we really do believe is something paranormal, and it's open for interpretation. We're not saying this is evidence.
Right.
Take it to the bank. No, it's open for interpretation. It's that's why we put it out there, so people can look at it and go, "Oh, wow, that's kind of crazy."
Right. Well, I am so appreciative you took your time out to come and chat with me and everybody that's in the chat. I absolutely appreciate it, and
you're very.
I can't say nothing but good things about you guys.
Thanks so much.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Well. So, please, everybody in the chat, if you haven't joined and subscribed to these guys, you've got to. They are, as I said, truthful. They're not over the top. They don't shove it down your throat. It is just honest goodness, just paranormal investigating. And I wish you all the best. Y'all have been absolutely wonderful, and I really enjoyed this.
Thank you so much for
Thanks.
having all of us.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Have a wonderful night. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a great
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You do the same.
Cheers, everyone.
I'll see you.
Cheers.